All right. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Oh, no way. Okay, y'all don't know me, do you? Okay, so let's start over. Good afternoon, everyone. That's all right. It's not the best I know y'all can do, but we'll make that work. We'll make that work. Hi, Adam. That's better. That's better. It's progress. Progress. Appreciate that. All right. For those who do not know me, my name is Donna Asher. I am the Vice Chancellor for People, Equity, and Culture. For most of you, that just means I oversee HR across our UNT system. But you have a wonderful head of HR for your campus, Ms. Katie McDaniel. So she is here to support your local needs, but know you always have friends where we are as well. I am here today to serve as your MC for this event. I also serve as an executive sponsor for this initiative, the Values Journey Initiative. And so we are very excited to be here with you today. But before we get started, I do want to just show some appreciation for those who've been involved thus far. We have a core project planning team that has been engaged in this process for several months now, really trying to get us to where we are now, and we know there's a long way to go. And I want to take a moment to acknowledge those folks. And so if those folks would please come forward, I'd really appreciate it. Dr. R. Mark Miles, Lake and Rapier, Ms. Lindsay Vandegrift. Where did Lindsay go? Oh, there she is. Okay. These folks have had some heavy, heavy lifting so far, and we're just on the cusp of what this work is all about. So I want to just take a moment to say thank you all for your dedication, your commitment, and your support for this important initiative. Appreciate you very much. Also want to take a moment to acknowledge the communication team. I'm not going to ask you to come forward. So if you are here, please stand. If you're not here, we want to still honor your name for the work that you've done. But this communication team has done an excellent job at keeping us informed to date of what's going on. They're going to even have a heavier lift as we really get into the meat of these activities in the future. So let me start with Stacy Bowe. She serves as the co-chair. You, Stacy? Angie Clayton. Where'd Angie? There's Angie over there. Always keep us straight. Paula Cobbler. I don't think Paula's here. Eric Griffey. Who's here? Wasn't here earlier. Mercado Hernandez. There he is. There. Thank you. Ms. Katie McDaniel. She also serves as co-chair of the communication committee. Victor McGaughan. There he is. All right. Glad you made it, Victor. Anthony Mentor. There you go, Anthony. Been doing some great work with our graphics. So great job. Julie Payne, your own Julie Payne. Julie, there she is. Miss Kelly Reese. Kelly. Tom Sullivan. Here. And last but certainly not least, Marquardt Howe. There she is back there. Thank you all. And you can probably imagine when you're trying to communicate with folks, they have a gist of what's going on. You try to figure out what's important for them to know at various points in time. That takes a lot of effort. And this group has had a fantastic time working together and trying to be, on the front end of making sure you get all the information that you need. So thank you all for that. I also want to take a moment to thank Megan and her team for all of the support that she's done in setting up this event. We could not have done this without Megan and her team. So thank you very, very much. And last but certainly not least in this appreciation moments is our folks who are doing with our AV equipment. Thank you for this. It's not easy trying to get everybody set up and squared away. So appreciate you all very much. And with that, we want to go ahead and get this baby started, right? So I'm going to ask Dr. Dwan Bryant to come up, and she is going to get us started with a group activity to get you guys in the framework of our values.
All right. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Come on. Let's fill this room with energy. Good afternoon. All right. Well, listen, welcome and thank you for being a part of this Join the Journey session kickoff. As mentioned, my name is Dwan Bryant and I represent the Culture, Organizational Development, and Engagement team. It is our absolute pleasure to not only serve you, but to further engage you in sharing your personal values while we support and encourage a value-based culture. Is that all right? All right. Now listen, aligning your personal values and your work values are highly critical ingredients for bridging the gap between success and engagement in the workplace. Do you all agree? All right. So without further ado, turn your attention to the screen for our Join the Journey activity. Now, for our Join the Journey activity, you have an opportunity to respond to 2 statements. Now, be very intentional with your responses. The first statement is identify up to 3 personal values that are important to you in the workplace. And statement 2, which of those are important to you in the workplace? All right. So there are 2 ways. If you're in this room, there are 2 ways to engage. On your table is a QR code that you can use your smartphone to access, and it will take you right to the activity. The second way is that you can use the text message feature that is at the top of this activity. And if you are online for our virtual family, you can go right into the chat box and access the activity, and it will take you right to the Chrome browser. All right, so we'll give you a few minutes to go ahead and get logged in. Are you all ready? All right. Oh, it sounds like there's 2 people in the room. Are you all ready? All right, go ahead and log in. All right, excited that you are here on today. We're gonna have a good time. How are we doing out there? Are we logged in? We're logged in. At the top, again, you can use your text. For those of you that are joining us, you can use that text message feature right at the top for Poll Everywhere. All right. Look at that baby grow. Come on, y'all. Boost your personal values, the things that mean the most to you. Yes, beautiful. Watch that wordle dance. Yes, come on. Keep boosting. Yes, keep boosting those that are important to you. Yes. No personal value left behind. Yes, love it. All right, so now we're going to go to statement 2. So identify those values that are important to you at work. So listen, those personal values and those work values usually mirror one another. So go ahead and boost those values that are already illuminated on the screen. Come on. Ooh, look at it dance. Isn't that beautiful? All of us coming together. I love it. Yes, keep going. About 15 more seconds. Watch it grow. Particularly, boost those ones that are important to you. Let's make them bigger. Let's illuminate them. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. Thank you. Look at that. It's still going. Thank you, online family. Yes. Thank you so much. Now, which of those values do you see illuminated on the screen. You can just shout them out. Which ones do you see those shared values? What are they? Come on, what else? Integrity, what else? Yes, respect just a little bit, right? All right. Yes. What else? Anything else? And accountability. Yes, we heard that earlier. Yes. Wonderful. All right. So seeing those values, those personal values demonstrated within your organization, would that help you feel more supported in your role? Yes, of course. Now listen, we want you to be HHI, happy, highly engaged, and inspired to fulfill your purpose within your roles in your organization. Now, we challenge you to not only be a strong participant in the values journey, but to come together so we can collaboratively make this a better and stronger workplace entity. Now, who will join the journey? Raise your hand. Yes, that's everyone. Thank you. Back in the hands of Dr. Asher. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right. Y'all awake now after that lunch, that heavy lunch y'all had. All right. Thank you, Dwan. All right. Next up is Chancellor Williams. Going to come up and talk to us a little bit about his vision. I may have gone too far for you. Put your lovely picture back up. I know how much you love that.
Take that off. Please take it off.
It's off.
Thanks. Good afternoon, everybody. I am no one. So that energy that you just saw, that was like mine and hers. Okay, so I've used all mine already. No, but we're really thrilled you're here, and I want to address a few of the things that I get questions about related to this values journey, related to why we're doing this, and what really this really means. And so I told a story in the first group. I'll tell it real quick here. So when I was working my way through college, one of the jobs I had was working construction in the summertime. And if you don't know what you're doing, they usually put you on the cement crew. And Cario and I were talking earlier about if you're really low on the totem pole, you hold the hose out of the cement truck because you don't really know what's coming. But if you advance a little bit, you get to twist wires around the rebar. Does everybody know what rebar is? What does rebar do? Reinforces, right? And it breaks the foundation stronger. Foundations where they cut back on the rebar don't hold up, have cracks, built on solid ground. So what we're talking about here is not that we don't have a foundation, but how do we make our foundation stronger? And that strength comes through a laying rebar in our foundation, so to speak, using our values. And the point is, right now, we have values at every campus. System had values, but at the same time, what would it look like in a spirit of collaboration if we could all come together around one set of values and live and breathe in one community with one set of values and one set of behaviors? So one of the questions that I like to ask is, what do we really stand for as an organization? What do we stand for? Who are we? We talk a lot about the work we do. Well, values and behaviors help us define that even better. And they help us shape how we answer that question when we're out in the community. So, but often values get confused with beliefs. And so I'll talk about that for a second. The values are truly what they describe the end that we want to attain. So some of the words up there a while ago were respect, integrity, accountability, trust. Those words began to come together to form the end vision we all have for the place we want to work at. So beliefs, on the other hand, are the pathways to how we get there. So if we say we want to have respect, you could have someone who believes we get there by always recognizing people, showing the things they did well, those kinds of things. Other people say, well, you get respect for the different path because I believe that you could set a set of standards that we all respect each other and we'll live by those. Well, point is we have different ways of pursuing in the end that we want to attain, and the values define that. That's why we want to get clear about what that is. And then lastly, we talked about this a little before. So the vision statement, I know you've seen before, talks about us being one team. It talks about us being values driven. It talks about as we work together being focused around our customers. Our students are customers, our families are customers. Many of us are customers of each other internally. So how we stay customer focused with this emphasis on excellence, curiosity, and innovation. But just you being here today shows curiosity, shows that you're willing to be innovative about how we approach our value structure. And so this begins driving us closer to one team, values driven. So we talked about this before in the communication I sent out. What do we expect to come out of this? One organization, one team. Doesn't mean we're all alike. Doesn't mean we all do everything the same. Doesn't mean campuses lose their distinctiveness. None of that. It just means we think and work together as one team. We grow as a team to engage and to support each other, unify how our people, unify how we use our resources, unify what our goals are. We're working through a strategic plan right now that will help us unify even more. This kind of environment, having worked in one of these, I don't know if you have or not, but if you have, it helps you attract and retain the best, in our case, staff, faculty, and even students. And you sustain a high level of performance and a high level of education. In our case, sorry, I was told I went over last time, so there we go. I'm still going to go over here. You guys tell me all the time up here that you have a spirit of caring. I know you do. But caring comes with serving. And I think everybody I've met in the system has a spirit of serving. At least that's what I think we should be about. So those are the things values do for us. And so the ask I have is like you did here. You're going to get offered the opportunities to get involved, to be engaged, and we really encourage you to do that. This is a once, maybe a lifetime opportunity. Values don't change once they're established as an organization, typically. And so really be a part of it. Take this very seriously. It's very meaningful work. It does change the spirit and the nature and the tenor of where we work together. Thank you all very much. I'll let that picture stay up there for a while.
Good afternoon, everybody. Okay, I just have to call out those incredible little finger sandwiches that are over there. They're like my favorite. And you all need to be like grabbing a handful on the way out the door, okay? Because especially do we have the cheese, pimento cheese ones? Okay, I can tell one of my values. You can tell by how big my waistline's gotten, but okay. Let's get rid of that picture too, please. Yeah, here, actually, we'll use the green button. So the chancellor has put forward a challenge. Why are we here? What are we going to do? How are we going to help lead the changes that it takes to build a values-based organization? And I have to answer the challenge the easiest way I can. UNT is committed to building a values-based culture that achieves our mission at the highest level. Pretty straightforward statement, but there's a lot to it if you start mining underneath. And one of the things I think is really important about the values that we establish is that they make us more resilient. The chancellor was talking about the rebar of the foundation. And what many of you don't know is that I too grew up working construction, especially foundation and concrete. So we share a bond. No, and working construction as a laborer in Buffalo in the winter, it just isn't a great gig, okay, you know. So I moved south as soon as I could, but we worked on foundations. and in Buffalo, houses have basements. And the basement walls are subjected to freezing in the winter, which pushes them in, and then drying out in the summer, which allows them to be released from pressure. And, you repeat. And they fall in unless you have a really strong foundation. And the analogy there, or the metaphor, is that external forces can cause your foundation to crumble if it's weak. And we want to be strong. We want to be resilient. We want to know about ourselves so that we never have to worry about getting pushed or pulled in the wrong direction, that we're going to go in the direction we want to go in. And that's really the beginning of the values journey. This morning, I said, I've been through a lot of these things, different things. I know Mike and I both went through the Carnegie Dartlet branding exercise, and it was good-ish, right? Gave us 3 words. And we used those words: caring, resilience, creativity. And those are great words. But how many of us live those values every day? How many of us feel this is the glue that binds us and holds us together? And that's really what we're looking for here. That's what we're wanting to achieve through this exercise. So roll your eyes if you will. It's okay, but then you're going to miss out. You're going to miss out on an opportunity to define the values that will guide us. And instead, you're going to let someone else do that. And I don't think that's the way we want to go. So let's roll up our shirt sleeves. See, I already started. And let's go ahead and move hard in the right directions to make this an important exercise that will make us better, more resilient, and will build a better culture. We have 44,532 students. Shane was here this morning. He didn't correct me, so that's my number, and I'm sticking to it. And what we know is that we have a mission to make them successful. Student success is incredibly important to us. It's part of where that caring attribute we talk about so often comes from. How can we do a better job on that? How can our values help us really do what we have to do for this region, which is change the lives of our students? So our values journey will help unify our campus and recognize how we better support and serve our students, each other, and the community around us. And this is important. If we do this job right, guided by our values, our students are going to do better. They're going to go out into the world. They're going to have better jobs. They'll experience wellness for a longer part of their life. We know this for a fact, that the college education, the basis we give them, will help them live a better quality of life. And if we do the right job, our community will care more about us. And I would call this enlightened self-interest. The community will give back as we give to them. And that's really how societies work. We are a Hispanic, there's a serving word. We are a Hispanic serving institution. We are also an institution where 42% of our students are first generation. That first generation is important. That's very important to me. I'm a first generation college student, graduate. Although I did find out in like 1760 that one of my great-great-great-great-grandfathers went to Harvard Medical School, and I was like, damn. So I don't know if I can call myself first generation anymore, okay? But the whole idea that we get the privilege of working with populations to change their lives, to create not just more success in one individual, but to change their family trees by helping them to be role models for their brothers and sisters, by helping them to encourage others in their family to attend college and change their lives, to build generational wealth, to create social mobility. That's a gift. Who doesn't want that job? At least, who doesn't want that job in this room? Because if you don't, you should go. This isn't the place for you. This is what we do. And we need those values to guide us. So as we identify and honor our values, we can engage and retain more students, faculty, and staff. We all know what staff turnover has been like. We need to improve it. We can celebrate a vibrant and more supportive campus culture. I want to love coming to work every day. I think all of you do. I want to be surrounded by people who reflect the values that we mutually hold each other accountable for. And I want to help our community to create a better workforce for the region around us. I mean, that is our primary mission. We can talk about education transformation, but in fact, what we're doing, as any parent knows, is trying to make sure the students who walk through these doors know what they want to do and can get a great job and can advance in a career that may span many different opportunities. And if we do that right, our reputation will grow. Again, this is just a little bit of what I'd call food porn. It reflects the incredible food, like some of the food you could get here today from our Verity, but coming together, gathering, building community. That's an important part of what we do. And from a reputational perspective, as we celebrate our values and honor them and live them, it will help us move up the mountain. We've started climbing the mountain for Carnegie Research rankings. We're doing pretty well. Of 141 Carnegie institutions, we're ranked 86th. Can building cohesive values move us further up the mountain? Can it help build a national reputation? I would submit to you that it can, because it will uniquely identify us. So what unique contributions do we bring here at UNT to this values journey? Well, I'll simply say, and again, I'm not trying to jam this down anyone's throat, but caring has always been a top value for us, and I see it every day. I talk to faculty members who tell me we're reaching out, we're trying to build that positive growth mindset in our student community. We're having a little trouble this year. The students aren't quite as prepared as they used to be, so we're going to take extra time. We're going to help them. Boy, what a wonderful message, and I hear it from a lot of people. So we know that caring attribute is part of our DNA. Our excellence in Carnegie rankings, social mobility, and comprehensive offerings has helped to establish us and the UNT system as a major player, not just in Texas, but in the nation, where we're known. We used to be kind of invisible. How can we raise our visibility further? And our successes are a reflection of the power of this community. And as we flourish and grow, we serve our region better, and the community, in turn, will give back to us. So with that, I am done, and I just encourage all of you to have a good time today, learning about this process and helping us to move the ball down the field. But one final point. We've got a lot of cabinet members here. Would you raise your hands? Wave. Wave. Okay. In each component of our cabinet, it's not that we're without values, it's that we haven't focused on them and celebrated them. So Deb Brewer is our VP for planning and for institutional research and institutional accreditation and chief of staff. So her values clearly being overworked. No, but she is actually if you ask, it's being accountable. All of those things are surround accountability and how we move forward. Adam is our digital strategy guy. And what he's trying to do is reach out to extend the opportunity to earn a great education to people from across the country as well as across the state. I look over at Clay, our VP for, boy, now I got to get it right, compliance, ethics, and integrity. Is that it? Backwards? Okay. Probably didn't get the order. Integrity has to be built into the system. And by the way, lack of integrity cost an institution a lot. We've got Brandon over there who leads our philanthropy efforts, deeply engaged in the community and how that giving back by showing our good values and success gives to the community. Elizabeth With for student affairs. I would call student affairs the cradle of caring in the campus, certainly a place that celebrates our culture and the life of our students. And I look over and I see Kathleen Hobson. They certainly celebrate the spirit of inclusion here on our campus and what equity actually means. So we've got values ambassadors in this room. Now let's unleash your power and determination to make this a great journey. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Deal. Next up, we have our partners from People Inc. We have Gail Watson, who's the Chief Operating Officer, and we have Shannon Mick. You have a chance to meet her later. She's the Vice President there. And they have been with us through this journey and will continue to be with us until we're done with it, hopefully. So, Gail, I'm going to turn it over to you so you can help tell us what is the process we're going to use to get us where we're trying to go.
Great. Thanks, Donna. It's been a pleasure to start the work with your team, and we really look forward to the opportunity to help you all through the journey and get started on that. People Inc., we are a consulting firm that specializes in organizational culture, helping organizations build high-performing, values-based cultures. We've been doing this for many years. Let's just say over 25. It's kind of a round number. And we've been helping several, probably 100 organizations, great brands, legendary brands, and we hope to help you do that kind of change here. So we'll tell you just a little bit now. Donna asked some of the questions, and basically we just want to help answer a few of the questions that you might have in your mind around what we're going to be doing, why are we doing it, why does it matter, and how is that process going to go? And by the way, we already know a few things about your culture, so we'll share some of that with you as well. So let's start with kind of the big picture, why culture matters. So the Gallup organization has been studying and researching culture for a long time. And one of the things they know, and they've published this research, is that highly engaged employees produce better business results. Period. That is higher performing. And guess what? In the organizations that are high performing, as many as 70% of the people are reported, their employees are reported as being engaged. Whereas on the opposite of that, the lower performing organizations have lower engaged percentage. So one of the things we follow during this process is the engagement of your employees, and as well as other factors. And in general, what they found, and there's a lot of data to support this, that you're having results around higher performance, higher customer engagement, in your case, student engagement, your communities, anyone who you really serve, and that you are going to experience that they've got numbers for less turnover and higher productivity, among others. So we hope to see you all improve in transforming to a high-performing culture. It doesn't mean things are bad, things are not good. It just means there's a great opportunity to, as Jim Collins would say, go from great to greater. So what is culture? Very simply, and People Inc., in our definition of culture, it is a collection of the behaviors in the organization. It's really simple when you think about it. How you interact with each other and others is your culture. And a lot of we get questions around, well, how are we going to remain successful? How long is this going to stay in place? And the answer is it should stay in place a long time. And that is if you do two things. One, to create a sustainable culture, leaders really have to lead, because leaders are the ones who lead with values, drive behaviors, which drives your culture, which drives your performance. And make no mistake about it, whether your title is leader or not, everybody in this room is a leader, because you are influencers. You influence those around you. And so you are in this category a leader, and really don't be afraid to just take this culture work and under your wings and live these values as you go forward. Second thing is that's really important is it takes a continuous discipline. And that is that you consciously design your culture. You just don't let it happen. You have a culture, whether you can describe it or not. I mean, you can describe it, but you want it to be consistently and uniformly the same description. Other people encounter their experience with you. You want everyone's experience to be the best it can be and what you expect according to your values. So Ann Rhodes is the founder of People Inc. and author of the book Built on Values. And in this book, she lays out the culture system that we will be leading you all through to put in place. And it starts with, number one, what we call the values blueprint. The values blueprint is more than just naming the values. It is the values combined with their definition and those behaviors you expect of each other. Because that's the roadmap. That's what things are based on. And when you have that values blueprint, then you can hire what we call A players. A players are those people who fit your culture. In other words, they have the values that you have and expect, and they're high performers. So it's both. Fit the culture, have the values, and high performers. So this will help you put a hiring place in process. Thirdly is once you have that values blueprint, you can then outline what you want in terms of holding people accountable for living your values. And you'll be working on a process to incorporate that. And then also how to reward, and that is to recognize people when they do the things that you've outlined in your values blueprint, and that they can actually demonstrate, and you recognize that, celebrate it, so that others know what's expected in your culture. You're reinforcing your culture. And in this work, ultimately, and you get this in place, and your culture is your brand, which really boils down to, guess what? The people. Your people are your brand. And so your brand in terms of as an employment brand, that is attracting those best people, as well as the work with your students, your customers, your community, attracting those people to be with you because they want to be a part of this experience. Finally, that continuous discipline that we talked about a moment ago. So there's a little more to the process. I'm going to ask Shannon to come up and share with you, Shannon Mick, our Vice President, and turn it over to Shannon.
Well, we've been at this a little bit. And so as you can tell, this is a huge undertaking for the system-wide, right? To bring us all together and have one set of values. So Donna introduced the core team this morning, and we started working on the project in July and really working on the planning and the strategy and the communication and assessing where you are now. And that is all to get us ready for the values blueprint. The values blueprint is coming up November 7th and 8th. 125 people from around all of the different campuses and different institutions that y'all have been invited to be representatives from the lowest level to the highest level and everything in between to come together and say, okay, we want to work together for 2 days and we're going to come up with what our values are. We're also going to look at what are our definitions and what are those behavioral statements that we can hold each other accountable for. So we've been getting ready for the November 7th and 8th. It's really a critical component in our model, right, that Gail just went over. The whole thing starts with the values blueprint. That's really the foundation of becoming a values-based organization. So once that gets together and the values are finalized, they'll be back shared with everybody. When that happens, then we'll start putting together some teams across the whole enterprise, so system-wide, pulling people together from all different locations to work together, like our communications team, we'll have a hiring team, a recognition team. So there'll be lots of opportunities for people to be able to give input, to sit on teams if you're interested, and looking at performance management. So as you think about that model, we'll be working through the model as we move forward. One of the things I said we started with in July was really looking at your current assessment. So some of the things we know, you have been surveyed and you have talked to lots of people, right? You're undergoing Gallup now. You do Gallup engagement every year. You had McChrystal in who did the diagnostics. So when we came in, we said, we can use that information. We don't need to come back out. You guys have already told us what your culture looks like. So when we analyzed that data, what we looked at and said, your current state now is one of the things that is really obviously clear to all of us is you have great people everywhere, that everybody wants to serve your students, serve your communities, and that is abundantly clear, that everyone is really here about the mission, about serving our students, knowing that we are serve minority students and really serving those first-time students and making a difference in people's lives as they go out and making the difference in the communities in which you work. That and also that each of the campuses have a very distinct value that you bring to the system wide. So some of the other things that we found is that we found one of the issues is that 4 distinctive identities. So right now you're UNT, you're UNT Dallas, you're UNTS HSC, you know, so as you think about each of your things, but really you are UNT is a system-wide organization, right? And that how do we pull us all together and how do we get the benefits of working together and sharing resources and, you know, really looking at some of those issues. So the other thing that we know and we heard a lot about when we were out talking and reading the literature is about your staff compensation. We know that's been an issue for you. And so that is one of the things that is out there, the lack of a unified vision. So right now you have these 4 different entities that all have somewhat of, you start down this path, but then you diverge slightly. You have no enterprise strategy, ineffective communication. So we see that you have really effective communication on each campus. But when you talk about how do you know what's going on over at HSC or how do they know what's going on over here at UNT and where can we collaborate or where can we use our expertise? We have great faculty and staff here, right? How do we work together and get the benefit of those? Well, some of that comes down to communication. We got to know what's going on before we can start that, right? So we saw that that ineffective piece of the communication is a little bit of an issue. Inconsistent processes, so different ways of doing the same thing and not getting efficiencies by doing it in a centralized manner when you are one system-wide organization. We also saw silos by campus have really led to some distrust, uncertainty about the future, and in us versus them. And when we talk to people, those type of words come up, you know, we can be in competition, us versus them, who's doing what. So we don't spend a whole lot of time. We really take that as a snapshot, and that's what we call this, to know where you've been. Here's what that culture right now looks like. And really, where do you want it to go? So what have we heard from you guys so far about where you'd like for it to go? So we know that you want a shared values and vision, right? We got to know where we're going, and we all got to agree that that's our shared values and vision to get there, and we get there together. We want to be a people first, right? And I think you guys do a great job. Like I said, you've got great people. And so we want everybody to feel valued, know that they are valued in this organization. The work that you do is important, and getting up and coming into work every day, you should enjoy it, enjoy each other. That we want to be collaborative. We want to have continuous improvements. We always want to get better, right? So, well, how do we do that? Sustainable resources. We really need to look at some sustainable money, technology, and staffing. We know you've had a high turnover. That high turnover leads to other issues for our students, for our communities, for each other when we're picking up 2 jobs. So in our future state, if we have a values-based organization, we know that if we hire the right people, come into our organization and they stay, we have a lower turnover, okay? Makes it better, and we have better outcomes for all of the populations that we talk to. Effective communications, we want to be inclusive and engaged. So one of the things in our process is everybody is involved in developing these values. Now we've got the 125 people coming in, but we've been out talking to people. We're going to ask for your help. Donna will share a little bit about that as we close up, that we'd like your feedback and our stuff. But we really want everybody to be engaged throughout this whole journey, because this is not a one-time day. It's not we're going to come back and say, these are it, and we're done. Okay. This has to become how you do what you do. We want ownership and accountability. We've heard that over and over. And then really we want people to want to work here, right? You want to work with people who are happy to come to work, right? You know, think of somebody that maybe isn't happy coming to work every day, what that does. So we really want to work with people who want to work with us. So as I said, we're getting together on the 7th and 8th. It's a really critical day. We've asked everybody to clear their calendars, 2 full days. Through that facilitation and workshop, you will define your values. We have people ask us, okay, Shannon, bring in our values. We say, they're not our values, they're your values. You are building them from the ground up with participation from everywhere. Okay? And so after the value is done, we'll define what that is. Because if we pick the value of caring and I went around this room, we'd all have a different definition of what caring means, right? So one of the things we want to have a common language, and we want to know when we say we have a value of whatever it is, we have it defined. After that's done, we develop the behaviors. What do they look like? Because that's where the rubber meets the road. How do we act so we can hold each other accountable? We can celebrate as we move forward. So those will be coming back out to you. So some of the key takeaways, we want to build a sustainable organizational culture that's intentional. We want to do it and decide who we are rather than letting everybody else decide who we are. So it takes everyone to build and foster a values-based organization. So as this journey goes along, we are going to be asking for your participation all the way through it. Because to build this into your organization and into your DNA requires all of us to get on board and move in that direction. Remember that leaders drive values. And as Gail talked about, that everybody here is a leader. It's not about your title. It is about what we do and how we interact with each other. And that is about being a leader and moving it forward. So we have our behaviors that drive our culture and in turn drives our performance. The foundation of a healthy, high-performing culture is a values blueprint. And as I said, that is the foundation of what we are working on now. So there's many opportunities to get involved. There's the enterprise committees, so like the communication committee, the core committee that you were introduced at the beginning. There will be campus committees after the values come out that will then take what do we do with those values and behaviors and how do we build them in? When we say we hire for values, what does that look like? And how do we do that at all of our institutions and our campuses, right? So then there'll be committees looking at that. They will all be cross-functional, okay? Because the goal is being system-wide. So we will pull people from everywhere, just like the values blueprint, like our system-wide now. We want to listen and learn and have you give feedback to us. So this is the beginning of our journey, really, right? So attend learning sessions, contribute to the Join the Journey, respond to polls, submit ideas and feedback, get involved, talk to your coworkers, talk to your colleagues, let them know about what the values journey is about and why we're doing it. So I'm going to turn it back to Donna to talk about some of the ways we'd like for you to participate before we do the values blueprint. And we appreciate you all being here and look forward to having you guys tell us what you think. Thanks.
Thank you. Let's give them a hand. All right, there are probably some natural questions that you have now after hearing all of that. And I know that's a lot. I know the first time I heard it all, it's like, okay, now what just happened? What did they just say? So it's okay if you still have a little bit of uncertainty right now. It will get clearer as we progress through this process. So what is next in the process? Well, as Shannon and Gail mentioned, we will have our blueprints workshop on the 7th and 8th. A lot of folks will be involved in that. About 125 people we have around or throughout the UNT system enterprise who will be a part of that. That means that every employee cannot be engaged in that particular activity. But there are ways for you to be involved. And we're going to share one way in just a minute with the QR codes that are on your table on the sheet. So as you hear about the many opportunities and activities that are coming up, get engaged, get involved. This is how your voice can be heard. All right. So how does this affect me? I'm going to put these out here because that question really has to be answered by you. What type of environment, what type of place to work do you want to be a part of? What's important to you? If you want to be at a place where the way you treat each other has something to do with what you want in the organization. If you want to be a part of a place where you feel you're seen, you belong, you're heard, do you want to be a part of a place where everyone is respected for who they are and what they bring to the table? So this is really a question for you. What's important for you? What type of work environment do you want to be in? If that is important to you, for you to be able to influence that environment, then this will affect you in many ways. And you'll have a desire to want to be involved. And that's what we want you to be involved. The chancellor said it right the first time. This may be a once in a lifetime opportunity. I have been in this UNT system for 31 years. 31 years, pretty long time. And I don't believe I've had this kind of voice in my work environment to date. We've had some great initiatives over the years, a lot of fun initiatives. But really where I get to influence the type of work environment I live in, I see this as a once in a lifetime opportunity. And I hope you do too. I hope you do too. So ways to get involved, we will have a webpage up and we'll share that with you in just a minute. And you should be on the slide as well. If you have an interest in participating in the various committees that were talked about, talk to your supervisor. You know, see if they allow you some time to participate in these things, but be engaged. Become a values ambassador. Neil mentioned before, we already have value ambassadors here, you know, which is fantastic. So let's just target that energy toward this particular project. So I want you to keep that great spirit about what values mean to you personally. So here's the website where we will keep a lot of information on it. Please go and visit it regularly. We will try to make sure that you are aware of what's going on, what activities are in play, and so forth. And we want to leave you with this. On your tables, you have a sheet of paper. On that sheet of paper, there is a QR code. That QR code would take you to a poll. As I stated earlier, we only have 125 seats at the Blueprint Value Workshop, so everybody can attend that. But everybody can provide their feedback here. So we want to hear from you. What's important to you? So if you would take that sheet with you, and you also have it in the swag that's on the table, the little mugs, those are yours to take with you. So there's also a QR code inside of that. So if you forget the sheet, you got it inside your mug. But please take some time. It will only take you a few minutes. Take some time to do the QR code and fill out that poll so that we get to hear you before we go into the values blueprint. So we can have that as part of the conversation, particularly for those who are not going to be able to attend that. All right. And with that, I want to just end with just a few little housekeeping things. For those who have not had a chance to take a picture over here, if you believe that this is the journey that you want to be on, that you want to be with us, you want to be on this bus, you want to be in this caravan, you want to be in this car, however you like to party on the road, you know, if you want to be a part of that, we welcome you. We want you to be a part of this. And then you can just show it off by going over and taking a picture saying, you know, I will join the journey. Will you? So if you get a moment, please go to the little green background over here and please take a photo with your friends, you know, to make sure that people see that you're on the journey. Be that ambassador for us. Again, the swag on the table is yours. And the poll will close on November 4th. So please take that poll before November 4th so we can hear your voice, because we want to be ready to bring that information into our November 7th Blueprint Values Workshop. Okay, with that, I think that concludes our session. I want to thank all of you for coming. Appreciate your engagement and you being here today, and hope you all have a fantastic rest of your day.